Hi Vinyl Community, it's Mike here. And last Saturday I had a little bit of a dilemma because it was Record Store Day and it clashed this year with the monthly Leeds Record Fair. So what was I to do? Should I go to the record fair or should I go to Record Store Day? Well, of course, I went to both, didn't I? But I did things a bit differently than I normally do on Record Store Day. Over the last few years, I've tended to get to Jumbo Records about 6 in the morning, stand in line, have a good chin wag to the people around me, and then, probably get into the shop about 3 hours later, and get what I want and then go home. But this year, what I thought I'd do is I'd go to the record fair first. So I got there about sort of 10 a.m. Went and got something to eat afterwards and a cup of coffee, and then strolled up to Jumbo Records. Turned up about 20 past 12. Queue was very, very short. Got served in about 20 minutes and actually got everything I wanted. So, what was the best? Was it the record fair or was it Record Store Day? So, I'll show you what I've got and you can decide which was the best. And bearing in mind, I spent a lot less at the record fair than I did at Record Store Day. So, starting off with the record fair stuff and some albums. So, first off is this one, Poisongirls, and it's called Where's the Pleasure, and it's 1982, and it's their second album, and it's a pretty good album. I mean, this copy is a little bit beat up, but it cost me virtually nothing, so I was pleased to get it. So you still got the inner there with the lyrics in. Of course, this was a band sort of primarily of vice versa, and I'll show you the label if I can get it out. There you go. There's the record. It's a pretty good bit of sort of quite sort of political post-punk really, and they were from Brighton. And tracks on here. What are the best tracks on here? I suppose Lovers, Are They Worth It? That's a question to ask, isn't it? Whiskey Voice, Take the Toys, and it's really quite a good album. So I was pleased to get that, as I say, for next to nothing. Then next up, I saw this album, and it's a debut album by a band that my mate Nick Zinal Butty, has been showing quite a lot of recently. And I don't have anything by them, or I didn't have anything by them. And it's this band from Birmingham. We've got Fuzzbox and we're going to use it. Later on, they just changed the name, shortened it to Fuzzbox. And as you can see, they're an all-girl band. And this is called Boston Steve Austin. And yeah, it's pretty good sort of post-punk from 1986. They weren't the best musicians in the world, but they had a go, and yeah, I quite like this. It's on the Vindaloo label, and I'll show you. There it is. And yeah, it's a really decent debut. And I can remember that John Peel used to play Fuzzbox quite a lot back in the day. So that's an album from mid-80s from 1986. Right, a band from Leeds. Leeds are post-punks, although this isn't really a post-punk album. It's the fifth album from the Mekons. And the Mekons are sort of very closely associated with Gang of Four and Delta Five as part of the sort of Leeds art school post-punk. And this album, so it's a fifth album, it's called The Edge of the World, came out in 1986. And it kind of marks a transition between their more sort of, country folk persona that they have today and the post-punk. So it's a bit of both. It's a bit folky, a bit alternative, a bit country rock, and it's a pretty good album. And what tracks we got in here? Yeah, Hello Cruel World is on here. Oblivion, King Arthur, Ugly Band, Alone and Forsaken, Big Zombie, Slightly South of the Border, which is a track that people may have heard of, but I like the Mekons, always have done, and I was pleased to get this, and it's on the thin record label. Here's the inner. You go with various pictures, and here's the Sin record label. So that was that. Now a band that we all love in the UK. It's a live album, and it's Slade from 1982. Slade on stage, and it was recorded at Newcastle City Hall, and there are the lads. And this is a really good live album. I think Slade are one of those bands that you know, the best heard live, I think. Although, you know, there's absolutely nothing against the studio stuff, which is absolutely brilliant as well. But you've got Rock and Roll Preacher on here. When I'm Dancing, I Ain't Fighting. Take Me Back Home, Every Day, which is one of my all-time favourite Slade songs. Lock Up Your Daughters, We'll Bring the House Down, A Night to Remember, Goodbye to Jane, Mama, We're All Crazy Now, and they finish off with a rendition of Rodgers and Hammerstein's You'll Never Walk Alone. So there you go. So this is another sort of raucous live album from the brilliant Slade. And the final album that I got from the record fair was Selector's second album, and it's called Celebrate the Bullet. And of course, Selector were, you know, one of the 80s ska bands. This came out in 1981, and it's on the Chrysalis label, but it's a sort of, you know, a bespoke Selector label there. And I'll show you the inner, because it's got a few sort of pictures of the band in here. There you go. So there's a band there. They are all 7 of them. And then on the back you got the lyrics. So you got tracks in here, you know, Tell Me What's Wrong, Washed Up and Left for Dead, Deep Water, and Selling Out Your Future. That was another great track on here. So that's the albums that I bought at the record fair. Now, just a few singles. I normally go a bit mad with the singles, but this time I bought very few. The Singles Man, who has absolutely thousands and thousands of singles. He wasn't there this month. He only tends to come once every 2 months. But anyway, I got these. So got Bauhaus and their edition of Ziggy Stardust, and you can see Third Uncle is on the B side, and that's from 1982. And I'll show you the label. It's on Beggar's Banquet. If I can get it out. There you go, on the Beggar's Banquet label. Then yet another Leeds band, Abrasive Wheels, and this is their 4th single, and it's called Banner of Hope, and the B side is Law of the Jungle. There you go. So yeah, Abrasive Wheels, as I say, another one of the Leeds bands that always pick their stuff up. Great punks, and there you go. That's them, and just a couple more to go. Now I'm always after stiff records, particularly stiff singles, and you know, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't have bought this if it wasn't on stiff. But it's one of the early stiff records, and it's by Max Wall. And if you don't know who Max Wall was, he was like a musical comedian and entertainer. He was in a few films, I think, you know, back in the 40s and 50s, and he kind of made a transition to television, but you know, not that successfully, I don't think. But this is his single, England's Glory, and it's just basically a list of names of, you know, people that were sort of famous around the time that this was made, which was 1977, yeah. And the B side is called Dream Tobacco, and it was produced, there's so many stiff singles and stiff records seemed to be at the time, it was produced by Nick Lowe. So there you go. So that's a classic stiff label, and as I say, it's one of the early ones. What is it? By 12. So as I say, I picked that up because it's on stiff, and it's not actually too bad, you know. So final record fair pickup again on Beggars Banquet, a band from Fulham in London, and it's their third single from 1978, and it's called Just 13. There they are, and the B side is called Countdown, and that's on the Beggars Banquet label. Probably recognise. So that was that. So I finished at the record fair, which was, you know, unusually quiet, obviously because of record store day. Strolled over to a cafe, had a coffee and a sandwich, and then I literally strolled up to Jumbo Records. As I say, stood in the queue for only a few minutes, got served very quickly, and ended up with just about everything that I wanted. So what did I buy? Right, first off, it's this album that was initially released in 1976, and it's called Vixen by Gloria Jones. And as the hype sticker says, she was the queen of Northern Soul. And, you know, her most famous song is Tainted Love, which I think she released about 1965. But, you know, it made the charts via the soft cell version. And this is what happened to so many of these, you know, soul bands, soul singers from the 60s. You know, they released records that maybe did absolutely nothing, and then they were picked up by other people, and you know, quite often they were just put out without any sort of acknowledgement of the original. But anyway, so Tainted Love is on this album. It's a different version from the 1960s version. The album came out in 1976. It's produced by Mark Bolan. And if you don't know, Gloria Jones was the partner of Mark Bolan, and rather tragically, she was driving the car when Mark sadly lost his life in the late 70s. So, you know, as I say, this is a really quite good album. It's got Tainted Love on it, and it's got her version of Get It On as well, which is pretty good. But she's a really good soul singer. And I've not seen anybody else show this record, and I'm quite surprised because I thought people might want to sort of snap that up. But there you go. That's Gloria Jones. Right. Next off, it's an EP by a sort of quite sort of hardcore, sort of rocky indie band from, I think, Austin in Texas. They're definitely American, and it's these guys. It's the Jesus Lizard, and this is their EP called Flux, and this was recorded in November 2023, and the tracks on here are Cost of Living, West Side, and I'm Tired of Being Your Mother. And you know, the whole thing runs to about, you know, 10 minutes altogether. All the tracks are on one side, and you got an etched. You probably can't see that, but the other side is etched. So yeah, so I had to listen to this online before I went out and bought it. I was really taken by this. I think Ben Rankins mentioned on the other day, and I thought, yeah, I need some Jesus Lizard, and now I've got some. So that was a really good pickup. And oh yes, and what happened is I was at the counter and I was standing next to the guy that was just in front of me in the queue, and he had a copy of the Jesus Lizard EP, and he was umming and ahhing about it. And I said, "Oh, you've got to get that, mate." I said, "I listened to that online. It's really good." And then Matt, the guy behind the counter, says, "I've just sold him the last one, Mike." But luckily, what had happened is that the person that was serving me had actually picked up my copy just before that one. So I got the last copy in the end. So that was good. But otherwise I would have been thinking, me and my big mouth. But there you go. That's that all velvet ends well. Now, peel sessions. Now, I've seen quite a few people show the OMD peel session, and that kind of appealed to me. But you can't buy everything, can you? And this is a peel session that I really wanted, and it's post-punk, and it's epic soundtracks, and what's a gel head, and it's their peel sessions, and you've got peel sessions from 16th of October 78, 15th of May 79, and 18th of March 1980. And it's obviously it's on sort of BBC records, and lovely red vinyl. So what have you got on here? So it's really good, as most peel sessions are. They're always worth picking up. The actual sort of recording qualities are always sort of very good. But you've got International Rescue starts off in the 78 session, Harmony in Your Bathroom, and then Read About Seymour, which I was going to say their big hit, but probably best to say their most well-known track. Another song, Full Moon in My Pocket. Then you've got from May 79, Armadillo, Vertical Slum, Stroke Forest Fire, Midget Submarines, Bandits on 5, and then the 1980 session, 18th of March, Big Empty Field, Bleep and Booster Come Round for Tea. Now, Bleep and Booster were this sort of sometimes sort of cartoon series that was on the children's program Blue Peter. So, if you're as old as I am, you'll probably remember that. And then Secret Island, Let's Buy a Bridge, Helicopter Spies, and A Raincoat's Room. So I was really pleased to pick that up. Right, a French band, French duo, Lionel and Marie Liminanas, otherwise known as the Liminanas, and this is their album for Record Store Day. More of an EP, really, I suppose. It's called Extra Faded, and there they are. You can see a pair of them there, and yeah, they're from south of France somewhere, sort of Pyrenees sort of area, and this is a really quite nice little album. There's quite often Liminanas on Record Store Day, and I like French music. This is sort of garage rock, really, and yeah, really nice. So you got a track called Autour de Chez Moi, which is a long version of that, 12 minutes and 6 seconds. Tu Viens Marie, which again is a long version, 12 minutes 29. These have all been released before. Instrumental of Louis Louis, and a track called Sleaford. So there you go. So that's the Liminanas. There was also another album, a soundtrack by Liminanas and David Menck, that I was thinking about picking up, but really, I spent quite a lot of money by that time, so I didn't. Now, this is the companion to an album that was released some time ago, probably a year or so ago, and it's various artists. It's called Pop Psychedelic. This is Les Extras, and it's French, French psychedelic pop, 1964 to 2017, and it's on the sort of transparent neon pink vinyl. There you go. And yeah, it's really, this is a really good compilation album. If you want to get into this sort of French stuff, this album and the original are really sort of good places to start. And there's the inner there, Pop Psychedelic, and then details of the tracks on the back. So you've got all sorts of people on here, sort of spanning the years from the mid '60s, right up until sort of about 5 years ago. You got Jacqueline Théab, and she was quite unusual, I think, for the sort of Yeye girls, in that she actually wrote stuff herself. and there's a good track of hers on this sort of opening it up. Then what else have we got? Oh, Jacques de Tronc is on here. Um, one of another sort of yeye singer, Stella, who's not really that well known, and her track La Silence, which is really nice. Then you've got more up to date Fabienne Del Sol, who's quite sort of garage, and she's put out quite a few albums on the Damaged Goods label, and I think she's really fantastic. Then Etienne Darho, Liminanas again, and the great Bridget Fontaine's on here as well. So, you know, as I say, this is really great sort of compilation worth sort of picking up. So that was that. There's sort of a couple to go now, and I'm saving the very best, in my opinion, till last. But this one is a lovely album, and it's Laura Nyro, and it's Angel in the Dark. And this is her posthumous album from 1997. It was recorded in 94, 95. And yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. She's a singer-songwriter, and at least in the UK, she wasn't really that well known. And in fact, I've only really been a fan of hers for about a year after, you know, sort of she was mentioned to me. And then my good friend Berkshire Mike sent me a few of her albums, so I was really pleased with that. But this is a lovely album. I'm really pleased that I picked that up. And yeah, Laura Nyro, Angel in the Dark. And finally, as I say, last but not least, it's an EP. And I'll read you the hype sticker. This is a quote from the great Nick Cave, and it says, "I can only simply repeat for the record that in my opinion, the Saints are Australia's greatest band, and that Chris Bailey was my favourite singer." And you can't really argue with that, can you? Because the Saints are, you know, my favourite punk band. Their early singles, their first two albums are absolutely brilliant, essential punk. And this is from a bit later. It's from 1980, and this is you know, this is Chris Bailey's Saints, really. This is after sort of Ed Cooper had left the band, but you know, it's not their finest work, but it's still pretty brilliant, and I was so pleased to get it. So you got on side one, you got Simple Love, Don't Send Me Roses, and Miss Wonderful, and then on side two, you got two tracks, On the Waterfront and Call It Mine. So there you go. So the brilliant Saints, and that was everything I picked up for Record Store Day. So what do you think? You know, did I do best at Record Store Day, or did I do best at the record fair? You decide. So until next time, bye bye.